Hello, everyone. Absolutely delighted to launch our Newhill Football Club podcast today. On the podcast today and over the coming weeks, we'll be discussing everything sport, football, Newhill, and Belfast. Today, joining us is a Newhill and Irish League legend, Billy Joe Burns. Billy Joe has got an extensive career in the Irish League, spanning almost 17 years, winning multiple league titles and Irish Cups. Today, he gives us an exclusive tell-all interview on podcast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of the Newhill Football Club podcast. Delighted to be joined by Newhill and Irish League legend Billy Joe Burns. Billy Joe, thanks for joining us.
No worries, thanks for having me. Bit hard to turn down the invite when you're getting tortured, but appreciate it.
Yeah, no, sorry for torturing you, and thank you for coming. I know podcasts and interviews and things like this is probably not the top of your to-do list, so
not really, but
I do appreciate your name.
Yes, no worries.
So look, we're going to start back to the very start, sort of Billy Joe as a young boy growing up and how you sort of get into football, and so let's talk a little bit about growing up sort of West Belfast and how that then transacted into you joining Newhill.
Look, obviously grew up in Spring Hill. Two older brothers and my dad, obviously, just all sports. Every day in my house is just sports and football and golf and rugby and anything going. So that's the environment that I grew up in. And then obviously, I was really fortunate. Martin Loosley, Manuel Walsh, Big Dennis Austin, we all lived a stone's throw from each other. So literally from our 3-4 years of age, just out every day playing football. And that's how it started, really.
Big Dennis is actually our reserve coach at the minute. Dennis
I know Dennis, he did leave for a wee bit. I don't know if you'll appreciate me saying that. I know he left and then came back again. So it's good seeing all the boys you grew up with back at the club and still being part of it.
I know he's doing, our reserves are flying on there. We got promoted last year, and I think I'm pretty sure they're unbeaten, top of the league. So he's doing very well. And then you mentioned there obviously Manuel and Martin Loosley, who you grew up with. They were part of the our senior setup for years. Martin was actually playing for our reserves a few years back, and he scored probably the best goal. He's going to absolutely love me, by the way, for saying this. He scored one of the best goals I've ever seen at junior football.
Right.
He was playing, I think he was playing right back over at the Grove, and he got the ball inside his own half and carried it for about 10 yards, and he must have been 35 yards out and just milled it.
Probably nag it and just whacked it.
Probably. He said he meant it. I don't know if he did mean it, to be fair, but it flew in the sort of angle off the top corner. It was incredible. You said there that obviously your family was a sporting family, and we'll touch on obviously the Gaelic later, but you touched on another one there about rugby. I'm probably jumping ahead here, but I want to bring this up and correct me on the dates and correct me on the timing if I'm wrong here, but when we were at school, I think it was first year or second year, we set up a rugby team.
The sevens.
And am I right in saying
5s or 7s?
We got to, well, when I say we, I wasn't in it, you lads got to, I think, the final, and you got player of the tournament, or like most tried or something. I'm not sure you did.
You might have made that bit up. But
no, I don't.
I can definitely remember getting to the final. Look, it was bits, obviously, I think most West Belfast Catholic schools wouldn't have really played rugby.
No, that was the thing.
And I think it was third year for some reason. One must have been the PE teacher or whatever just said that we were going to enter a wee tournament. So there was, I can't really remember if it was 5s or 7s. I can't remember briefly playing in it and stuff, but it was strange. Same, I think we played it that once, got to the final, got beat, and just never played it again.
I think it was Methodly or something, our boys' model. It was like a big rugby school at the time you got to the final, and like our lads obviously had never seen a rugby ball until sort of a month beforehand. And I'm near sure you got like player of the tournament or the most tries or something.
I don't know. I genuinely can't remember, but I can always just remember even we had a couple of big lads that just did the fighting at the middle. You say they're just throw it out to me or Jim Donnelly. We just tried to get it as wide as we could, as quickly as we could, and then just sprint up
just
a line.
Run,
and as saying, we're all obviously all played football and Gaelic and everything else, so we're quite athletic and all that stuff.
Jim was always quick too, wasn't he?
Yeah, that seemed, just remembering back now and playing Gaelic and all that sort of stuff. We're all just natural runners. And you know, if you can get us in a bit of space, then you know, it's suited.
I must have missed that day at school when they were giving out the athleticism. I must have been on the beat or something.
I don't know where I don't know why you didn't get invited up. Obviously one reason, but
we'll not go there. And then obviously you joined Newhill 8, 9-year-old. You would have joined Newhill, I think.
I think I played like 3 years at under 10 for Newhill, but I can remember even going up before that. Because Martin, albeit he actually played 2 age groups above, I think. So I can first remember going up with him to Falls Park. I think it was Taff was his manager. Was that right?
Taff, that's right.
So that was when I was like 6 and 7, and then I went the following year, and it was Yankee was the manager in. So that's when I first played, you know, with the under 10s teams.
A league coaching there.
And I went from Yankee, and then it was Rocky the year after, where then it might have been 8 or 9, playing for their under 10s team, and then.
I would have been our age group because I was one above you, I think, in terms of football years.
So in that, and then eventually came in where Paul and Sammy Dowds, and then that's when I was in my own age group. Yeah, so it was 3 years under 10.
Right, okay. And were you playing or were you training? Were you playing at all them age groups?
No, as far as I can remember, it's hard to remember every game now. But no, I was from the same. I was able to play the were Yankees team. Then I think I played every week. I think I did.
It's funny there you mentioned Rocky. So my brother Tony obviously played, but I think he's 4 or 5 years older than me. So he would have played. It was Ray and Kid Conlon. I can't really remember Ray's surname, but it was Ray anyway and Kid Conlon. So I always obviously went to train. Well, it was like 5-a-side at the time, and you would have went and played there. So I was probably playing at Newhill sort of 5, 6. I wasn't playing obviously, but I was there, and. But yeah, it was funny, and then as I sort of got a little bit older, Rocky and Bob McAteer was, and like it's hilarious. I talk to Rocky now. Rocky actually lives up beside me, and some of the stuff Rocky used to say to you and used to do to you, like I mean,
he still you still see him on social media not as much lately, but he still tortures everybody.
Oh, he's nuts, and we loved him. That was the thing about it. And see if Rocky was to say to the 10-year-old kids now what he had said, they all sort of done it.
I know.
Like you would have been standing there. Like in the Falls Park or like when lost freezing, maybe sub, and you're ice cold and you were only like 10. And he just would have come over and just like speared you.
I know. That's what makes.
But you used to love it.
It was all fun back then, and
you used to love it.
It wasn't as serious, and saying that kids are now different a wee bit, but in the end days you could get away with all that stuff, and we just laughed it off, and then that was it.
Like you used to stand there, like when he would have done it to one or two of the other lads, and you were kind of hoping he would have done it to you. You were like saying, like, why is he not doing it to me? But Rocky was mad. I love Rocky, and even like our younger kids at a club all love Rocky. Like Rocky's nuts, but
you need people like that within,
definitely,
especially around grassroots football and stuff that keep kids happy and entertained, and saying it's a bit of fun rather than having everything so serious, and because that then can have the opposite effect sometimes. So it's good to have that, and saying most kids all enjoy the bit of crack and all that sort of stuff.
It's trying to get them off the Xboxes and PlayStation now, so you have to give them something to look forward to. But no, we had some great times in Newhill as kids, like, and then obviously, did you go away on any trips? Like, would you have went to Whitley Bay or Blackburn?
I actually didn't go to Whitley Bay. I don't know why I didn't go that year, for whatever reason, but I went to all the Blackpool Cups every year too. Like, I was saying, looking back now, you know, it's still just, they were the best times. Like, just looking back,
definitely
going away with all your mates, playing football for 4 or 5 days.
No parents. You
got, I can remember getting like a $5 a day is what my spare money was. You were not playing it in the slot machines and everything else. So it was brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Did you ever win anything, or did you ever?
No, I think we won that. We were the best team. Like,
you would have been. Like, I always remember your age group. I think you won a couple of cups.
We were the best team, like, in our age group. I think we went unbeaten the whole time I was there, and we won the Northern Ireland Cup and the Champions of Champions and all that sort of stuff, and all the Blackpool Cups. I don't think there wasn't too many, but didn't win. Like,
you had some team there. To be fair, even like when you were younger, you sort of thought this team. It's pretty special. Like,
to be fair, like in work and stuff, when boys are asking me about it, I still find it so strange that, like, it was literally a group of all us lived in a 2-mile radius.
Yeah.
So it was 15, 20 kids, whatever it was, and we were the best team in Northern Ireland, all living in Spring Hill and Ballymurphy and Turf Lodge or whatever. So You know, it was really good then because, as I said, we all lived so close. We all went to the same school. Nearly all of us were all in the same class. Me, Dennis, Sean Savage, Bobby Joe McCrutton, and then you had Gary Stone still at CBS, and obviously yourself, but you were a year older.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy that we're all there together at the
That's
same age.
probably why I sometimes think that creates the team, because like even our first team, so we got promoted last year, our first team into 2A, and our squad of 14 and obviously our starting 11, they were all lads that came through our academy.
Yeah.
And they're all friends and they all go out together and they all go for food together. And I always think, like, when you're playing, obviously you need a wee bit of ability and talent, but I think when you're playing with your friends, I think that creates that bond and that team.
I was saying, like, then we were with each other every day. You know, if you were playing with each other in school or even on the streets or whatever. But you look around some of our teams at our age group, and you know they're trying to pull in players from North Belfast or somewhere out in the country or wherever else, where we were literally all there, and we 2 mile radius, and we were still the best team, which it's mad to think about.
And it was like, it's one of them things too, as you said, like everyone, you're friends outside football, so you're probably like, I remember obviously us growing up that, like, you used to come home from school, sometimes didn't come home from school, through the school wagon, and away you went. There was no, like, when I tell my nephews or like Tiernan or whatever, that we had no internet, we had no phone, they're like,
it was just a different world. It was genuinely a different world. You come home and you got your ball and you went out and played, and that was it.
And it was like you kind of knew, right, to be back for 5:30 or 6 from a dinner or whatever, and it was just one of them ones, like, as I say, when I say to them now, and they're like, what do you mean no internet? Like what did you do for enjoyment? You should just go and play.
That's I seen a wee TikTok the other day, and it was a parent telling this kid that their punishment was they had to stay inside when they weren't allowed out.
That's
the opposite. Throwing kids out as their punishment. You're like, it's just how the world's changed, isn't it?
And I always remember if you were lucky, you got a scooter, and if you were very, very lucky, usually if your parents were, anyway, as we would have described, flush, or you had a bike. At Christmas, you were doing well if you had a bike, but you used to have a scooter. But it was different times. Like, just to go back on the Whitley Bay trips, we went to Whitley Bay. We were under 10, and again, I always laugh about this because this would never be allowed. Now we were staying in a caravan park, and it was a 2-bed caravan, and it was like 9 of us, and you were literally laying on top of each other. And I think it was one manager per, so I think it was like Bob or Rocky was in ours. I think Rocky might have been in our caravan, I can't remember. And they obviously would have had a room themselves, and then, like, so you had 8 or 9 lads sort of basically laying on floors. But it was brilliant. Yeah, everyone was giggling and laughing. But the kids don't get that now. You know, you couldn't sell it to parents.
You wouldn't get away with it.
No, they just wouldn't accept it. Like, but there were some great times growing up. Like, some laugh. So Sammy, and was he your coach right through to?
Yeah. So when I was saying under 10s, then with Sammy and Paul Dowds, and that was us right until basically till I left anyway at 16, and saying we did with some team looking back, and literally just saying everything just fell into place where we were all kids that knew each other, all went to the same school, all that sort of stuff, and we just went out and won literally just every week. Yeah, you couldn't, like, every week we were just battering teams.
There were some good players there too, to be fair. There was a bit of talent there. Big, like, just you mentioned earlier, Big Dennis, Gary Stone, and then you had a couple of lads who went on to play Irish League. The likes of
it's strange that more didn't. I was saying, obviously, the likes of me and Kieran and James and Mark Clark were probably the 4 played a wee bit of Irish League, but you know the rest of them boys were all so talented. It's just life goes one way or the other. Yep, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. But we were the lucky ones that progressed a wee bit. But saying our team was scary good. Yeah. I think we did get Clark Simpson come in a couple of years later,
and he was on the front.
He was a different level again from all us. He was just so big and strong and fast, and we used to just kick a ball to him and he scored.
Where did he ever go to? I'm assuming, did he ever get to the Irish League? Or
no, I don't think so. You know, yeah, whenever we were that young, he went on a lot of trials and all that sort of stuff. But look, kids develop at different ages, and saying, I think he was really tall and strong, as saying, when we were really young, and then once you start getting to 14, 15, 16,
catch up with him.
Everyone sort of catches up. But no, back then he was unbelievable for us.
Good. And then So how did, I always wonder how it happened back then, because as I say, when we were sort of 15, 16, phones and the internet started sort of coming in, developing, but like how did that first initial contact happen from Linfield? I'm assuming they contacted Newhill or your parents, or
No, to be fair, it was actually me. It was all me. To move away. So whenever I think I was like 14. So it was one year we went for we all went to the Milk Cup trials. For the under 14s it was at the time, and we got cut on the first train station. No, we didn't get asked to come back again, which is really strange because we were the best team at our age group. So for whatever reason, none of us got picked in. I think
probably Rockets, probably.
Gary Stone made it win a couple of rounds, but none of us made the team anyway. And then the next year, for some reason, a couple of us went and tried out for the year above the Milk Cup, the under 16s. I ended up getting selected for it. And then I went down, obviously playing the Milk Cup, but I was a year below.
Is that Northern Ireland Select?
No, I was County Antrim.
Oh, County Antrim.
County Antrim, yeah. So I went down there then, and then you're just talking to all them boys who you went down with, and they were all playing for Linfield and Glenville and Glentoran and all that sort of stuff. And just the more I thought about it, I was like, I think I might need to make this wee step. Now, it's very unlike me too, because I'm not
definitely
the person that would put myself forward and all that sort of stuff.
Surprised at that,
but the boys who I was down there with were a couple of them field ones were like, come and play for us, blah, blah, blah. So whenever I got home, I was just thinking about it. And look, it seemed like the end of the world back then. It was a massive decision, being 16. I thought it was everything, but obviously it was the right decision now, looking back. But I got a number for Johnny Thompson, who was the under 16s coach at Linfield, and I rang him and just says, is there any way I can down for a trial? And he was like, yeah, you're more than welcome. Went down to Windsor Park because we were training down in Midgley. Then that was it. Like,
rest is history.
Basically.
Did you ever think, and you're probably not going to answer this because I know how modest you are about the whole thing, but did you ever think at sort of 16, 17, as you were getting to that stage where you were a wee bit special, a wee bit above others, where you thought, I'm not bad at this game, actually?
No, to be fair, so when that Milk Cup one was a big thing for me, because whenever I went down, I was playing the year above, and it was difficult, like. But then whenever I went whenever I saying I come back, and I went to the first Linfield training session with the boys my own age, I just found it very, very easy. But like, being honest, it was just easy. I felt like I was as good as anybody else. So from there on, I was like,
I'm alright at this.
not that I knew I wasn't a world beater or anything, but for that level, I mean, I'll do all right.
Yeah, because as you said earlier, you always had because like you were brilliant at sort of Gaelic. Yeah, like I probably would say, and you probably won't say this, but I can say it, that if you had him down the path of Gaelic opposed to football, you probably could have been an all-star. You know,
I wouldn't go that far, but
you were. But what I'm saying is, you were an athlete.
Look, as I say, I'm two older brothers and my dad. It was just sports every day at my house, so it was just natural for me.
Good at golf.
To take, as saying, I think usually when you're good at one sport, it
transcends into something else.
You can be all right at everything else now, but I can hold my own on most other sports, like. But
you're not great at snooker, though, are you?
Nah, to be fair, snooker and pool's one thing that I struggle to get a hold with. Anything else, I'm usually all right.
It's I always remember. I don't know if you remember this. We were playing, I think we were third year or fourth year, so we played a year below, like sort of club football, but we were the same school year. We were playing against boys model. I think it was boys model, and I think it was a quarter final or a semi final, and I don't know what year it was. We were young. We were only first or second year. I don't know if you remember this, but you were obviously doing centre back, and they took a corner, and I think it was one each or two each, and you took the ball down and ran the whole length of the pitch and scored.
Right, can't remember.
Can you not?
I usually remember all my goals, to be fair.
Literally, like I hope one of the lads that played was the likes of Dennis or Gary Stone, and like you took the ball down, it was their corner, you ran the whole length of the pitch, you beat about two or three of them, and you just opened up and you went. And I can remember thinking,
no, but that's, to be fair, that's what I still, not that I do that every week or anything, but that's what one of my big strengths were in, obviously playing football, was just because, as I say, I'm quite athletic, I can run.
Yeah.
So just get the ball.
Helps, doesn't?
Same as playing Gaelic. I put the head down and I run till I shoot and miss, or someone takes it on me, or I get fouled.
Or you pass or something.
You just run until something happens, and then that's it.
Yeah, good to have the engine. So then you went to, obviously, Linfield under 16s. You done quite well there, I'm assuming, for whatever, a year or so. And then how did the conversation? Did you kind of know when you were playing for the 16s, and did you go to 17s or did you go straight into the?
So I went and played basically a full year for the 16s. So I was in the Lisburn League, I think they were playing in, and then you go up till the under 18s. But then at Linfield at the time, that there's a lot of people just come in and dropped out from the reserves. So it's not like as if the best players went up and played for the reserves all the time. So it was just, if it was your turn, your turn. And I can remember not getting picked for ages and ages and ages. And then eventually I went from the 18s till the reserves. And then literally from I made the first game in the reserves, and I was up with the Emmons, to be fair, every week.
And did you know sort of like 18 when you were sort of teetering on the edge of the reserves? Did you think, I have a chance here? I might get a contract here. I'm doing okay. I'm playing all right. Or
no, I never ever thought that way, to be honest.
No.
I just went and played football and come home again. That was it. I never thought about if I'm good enough or if I'm not good enough, all that sort of stuff. I just went, played my football, and obviously people talk on the side, and to be fair, Linfield were always really good to me, and the coaches looked after me, and they were always encouraging and this, that and the other. But whenever I talk to people now from my old coaches, they were like, you were this, that, the other, you were always going to be a first team player, where I never thought that at the time. I just went about my business, and that was it.
And how did who made that phone call to you, or how did that phone call come about, or that meeting come about when you were getting your first pro, or was it pro at the time?
First pro. Well, it is a pro. Even if you're part-time, it's still a pro contract. A funny one, actually, that whenever I was whatever age, 17, it got there around Christmas time, and I don't be up training or the first team or anything like that, just playing reserve football, and one of the Glentoran guys actually rang the house phone. Obviously the house phone back then. I know people don't have house phones now, but they rang the house phone. I answered, and he's like, blah blah blah, can't even remember his name now, and he just says, can I speak to your dad? So he spoke to my dad and said Glentoran want me to go and sign a first team contract with Emmons, and my dad was just like, it's up to you, do whatever you want, so on. But it was playing on me, because I loved it at Linfield. Always taken care of.
Biggest club in the country, to be fair.
I was saying it was well looked after and that sort of stuff, but it was playing on my mind a wee bit. So I actually went in, and David Jeffrey got wind of this conversation too. Now how he got wind of it, I'll never know. And he called me in. He never mentioned it, to be fair. I've heard now that obviously this is the reasons why, but back then he didn't mention it, and he was just like, I want you to come up and train with the first team, and we'll offer you a first team contract as well. And then that was it, basically. I signed that right away.
Without any hesitation.
Because I never ever wanted to leave or anything like that. So
I remember, I think it was a school day. It was during the week when you went and signed it, because I think you can pack in the school, and you had the tracksuit on you. And I think you just signed it, so it was like a midweek day or whatever. And Jerry O'Kane was obviously the head of year in Corpus Christi when we were there. And I can remember coming in, and Jerry, you know what Jerry was like. Jerry was a legend, like, and remember with the Linfield tracksuit on, you'd signed the first.
No, it was great, to be fair. Still being at school and getting a couple of quid for playing football on top of your, what was the EMA we used to get too? So every 2 weeks you could pay it monthly by Linfield, and then every 2 weeks for the EMA. So you were loaded there for a couple of weeks of the month for about 80 quid in your pocket. It was great.
It was brilliant. Not a car in the world.
No.
Not a car in the world. And I'm assuming, probably silly question, but I'm assuming like when you went from the reserves and you were training with sort of boys, and then you went up and you're training with like Noel Bailey and Maggie Murphy and Jimmy McGrew and all them lads, big step up.
It's massive. But as I say, training Raymond's every 3 times a week, whatever it was great. But as I say, I wouldn't be one to throw myself out there, so I just went in, kept my head down, trained, and that was it. Got my stuff, going home again. So I was never one for like pushing to be playing or anything like that. I just went in, kept my head down, didn't want to get noticed, and then go home. That was it.
Sounds about right. And they give you a DW membership, gym membership. That was probably the biggest waste of money anybody's ever give you.
Me and Goldie used to just go and sit in the hot tub for an hour and a half, and then go back and say, we were doing this, that and the other.
Well, believe it. I was actually playing against, Goldie was playing for the Star, 35s, and we were playing against him. I think it was probably about 6-7 months going on. I was yarning away to him, but he still has that wee bit of quality. Like I'm sure it
was a good race, you and him. Was it?
Slower and slower. The thing was, but he had the first 5 yards in his head. He sucked me in 2 or 3 times. I tried to foul him, but I couldn't get near him. So
Goldie was brilliant. You're saying about football and that stuff, but he was tackling and everything else. He was brilliant. Like
he was well. No, he was. You can see obviously a bit older. Goldie would be probably in his 40s now. Would he? Would he be?
I
Or
don't know if he may be 40, I
If
can't
a
even
year,
remember.
if you're a couple of years older than us, like I know that, but and like us all, we're not as trim or fit as we once were. But
That's it.
but you could just tell he had that wee bit of. You could tell he played at a good level. Like he was super. I'm just looking here. I'm going to read these out to you. So when you were at Linfield, 2009-10 season, 10-11 and 11-12, you won 3 Irish leagues. Irish Cup 2009-10, 10-11 and 11-12. You know, you would have been, I'm just trying to do the maths here, you would have been 21, 21 when you won the first one. Like that's again, I know how modest you are, you probably brush that off, like, but that's a pretty big achievement. Like and I know historically, like the Irish League would have got slated and, you know, it's not a good standard, but like you're playing at the highest level that the country could offer. And you're winning Irish Leagues and Irish Cups at 21. I mean, that must have been some pause.
No, it was great. It's saying, but so whenever I first kind of broke into the Linfield team, I made my debut on my 18th birthday. So it was the last game of the season, and we were playing Crusaders, ironically enough. And but Davey had changed the whole team because the Irish Cup was the following week. So he rested everybody because they had the league already won, and we came in, played that game. I think it was man of the match, to be fair.
Right.
And then, but it was all young ones now. To be,
Right,
but
okay.
we won. But we beat Crusaders' main team at that time 1-0. And then, but that was the last game of the season. So then it was the following year when I got my actual contract and stuff too. But then I made there used to be cup games before the league started back then. So it was the League Cup, and you had 3 games, and then the league started.
Yeah.
So I played one of those games the following year, and then didn't play again the rest of that year. So
You didn't?
No, so that's, people think that you're playing week in, week out from such a young age, but in about 2-3 years I only played 2 games, and that was it. And then the start of the year, what year was the first league title there?
2009.
So it would have been 2008. The club had a big turnover in players, big injuries, and that's when Davey eventually put me in. And then I played about 25 games that year, but we ended up coming second. And then the following year we went on and we won 3 doubles in a row. But it was, look, the first year was great because that's probably when I played the most. The next 2 years I was in and out of the squad and then out of the team. But you know, even playing 25, 30 games a year, it was great at the time. I was saying I wouldn't be one of those ones getting in and demanding I need to be playing now and all this sort of stuff. I just kept my head down, did what I was told, and that was it.
Yeah, no, it's I always remember. Can you remember the time you'd obviously signed the contract at this stage, and we went down to the park centre to get a contract from?
Right.
Can you remember it?
You have some memory on you. I can't remember anything.
I always remember. So we went down. There was an O2 in the park centre.
Right.
So you went down, obviously headed to your Linfield gear, and everybody obviously knew you. So this would have been 2008, which was 17 years ago, and we went into the O2 shop, and it was usually Dave Mullen would have been working, or Big Chubbs, and they weren't on this. There was another guy, and he went in and he says, "Look, I want to get a contract from right dead on," and you get in your ID, and on your ID was William Joseph Burns, and he obviously seen the Linfield badge, and he says, "What's your address?" And you said, like, 14 Spring Hill Avenue. The guy near claps, they said, "What?"
Oh.
Right, okay. It was always funny. I remember.
To be fair, like, even I think after a couple of years, then I was obviously playing Linfield first team, and more and more often that's all you seen walking. White Rock and Spring Hill and everything else was Linfield tracksuits and Northern Ireland tracksuits and all, which is
now it's sort of the norm. Like now it's like even like you see, I would go into the park centre the odd time, like, oh, I can get my car vaulted or whatever, and you see boys walking in from the village and Rangers tops, and there's nothing like, and that's how it should be like.
No, but that's saying, just with the kids from East Belfast, there's just so many of them are going over and playing for Linfield and Glentoran and wherever else. But look, see, as long as they're playing football and they're happy, and that's it.
That's the main thing, yeah. And would you have got, like, obviously taking that into consideration where you were born and where you were from, and then obviously playing for Linfield, who would have been the biggest club in the Irish League at the time, probably still are, arguably. Would you have got any, like, social media backlash or any negativity around that? Or?
Never.
No.
I've been lucky enough, to be fair, saying, obviously we all grew up, it's a small area, so everyone knew who I was, and they just played football, and that was it. So I'd never got one bit of abuse for playing for Linfield. It was obviously when social media came along after games and stuff, you get a wee bit, but it was nothing too serious. But no, definitely didn't get any issues from people where I grew up or even going over to play for Linfield or wherever. It was never anything.
Probably wouldn't have phased you anyway. You probably would have just bruised it off. And...
More likely, to be fair. Right? But look, it is what it is. And I know it's a lot harder nowadays with the social media and stuff. But back then, you kind of just brushed it off and that was it.
And do you think social media today, like I suppose there's pros and cons. I always find that social media, if it's used the right way, can be very productive and very positive, especially for young kids growing up, because I think like young kids growing up now, they see more opportunities and see, like, and a lot of it's false to be fair, but they see like these people and they're doing well and they're sort of crypto millionaires and all these people, and they see footballers on living the lifestyle, and I think it can incentivize them to think, Jesus, I want that life. But then I can also see how it would be negative, where kids growing up and, footballers are running around in certain football boots and they're 200-300 quid and they want them. Like it can be sort of negatively impacted. It can be a cesspit at times. Social media.
It's hard for kids now, especially nowadays. There's so much social media, but those ones you're talking about, the influencers, this, that, and the other, but you're only seeing wee snippets of people's lives. Look, it's like a highlight reel in football. You'll see everybody's good bits for 2 minutes and think they're the best player in the world, but
it's like YouTube when somebody signs for United.
That's the first thing you do is you go on the highlights and they look brilliant, but in reality,
he's a bum.
They're not.
We've had some bums over the last 10 years at United. Like I remember, I think it was Anderson was signed, and obviously Brazilian and whatever else moving on. I can remember YouTube.
He used to just have the ball in the head. Was that the highlights of him, where he used to just head it up and down the pitch and run by boys?
There was a bit of that, but like you'd seen like sort of highlights where he was skipping in and out and he was like smashing balls 30 yards in the top corner. He thought, we have signed a good Brazilian here, and then it turned out probably not the way we had hoped.
But look, that's the thing kids have to deal with now. They see wee small things and they think that's how people's whole lives are, but in reality it's not. And
tough.
You have to take everything online with a pinch of salt, no matter whether it's on Twitter or news outlets or whatever. There's so many of it just false and exaggerated.
Yeah, my grandmother used to tell me, believe nothing you're told, only half of what you see.
That's it.
And it's very true. But so 7 years, Billy has spent at Linfield, very, very successful. And just to touch on before we move on, they obviously, when you left Linfield, you won obviously a couple of leagues and Irish Cups, a couple of doubles. You also won Linfield Player of the Year for them, which, considering the team they had 2012-13, pretty good achievement.
Look, my time at Linfield was great. Won 3 doubles 3 years in a row. Again, just similar to what I was saying, even about growing up, we were all friends playing for Newhill and stuff. It was the exact same in that Linfield team. A lot of us were all quite a similar age. It came through, and then you'd obviously the old guard were for previous years. There was like me, Ribsy, Carville, Galty, Mulgrew, and a load of us all are around a similar age, and we're all friends off the pitch too. Out most weekends, recharge and all that sort of stuff. So, it was really successful, and I've seen it's very enjoyable, and I've no complaints about my time there. Saying winning all that for your mates, there's not much better in football. But eventually, obviously, all things come to an end. Big Davy was leaving us, and Warren Feeney was coming in, and I went and my contract was out that same year that Davy was leaving. But look, I was told that Linfield still want me as a contractor, that sort of stuff. So, but one reason or another, when I went spoke to Warren and the board, our talks weren't the most positive. So I just thought,
why was that, do you think? Because obviously, as you had said, you come off the back of a really good sort of 4 or 5 senior years there. We had won a couple of doubles. You won sort of Linfield Player of the Year, and you were just probably coming into your prime.
No, look, so the 3 doubles came in a row, obviously, and then for 2 years after that, became third and then second. I think that was the year then Clintonville won the 2 leagues. The first year we came third, That's the year you're talking about where I won the Player of the Years and stuff. I personally had a good year, like obviously winning the Player of the Years and that sort of stuff. So I was happy enough. The second year then where Glenville won it, we came second, I think. Again, that's when I probably established myself most in that team, and I played every week. But we threw it away at the end of that year. I think we were leading, getting into the split, and then Clonmel beat us, and then they ended up winning it. But
was that Tommy Breslin's?
yeah,
Clintonville,
so that was the
remember.
when they won it 2 years in a row. But from the outside, that's when we're talking about social media and that sort of stuff. I was getting a wee bit of grief, to be fair, around that time. The fans were on my back saying I wasn't good and playing good enough, all that sort of stuff. But me and Davey spoke about it a few times, and me and him were happy with how I was playing. But then that's what led on to whenever I was going in to talk about a new contract. That's the first thing they bring up, saying we haven't won in 2 years. You just haven't been good enough, this sort of stuff. And I was like, well, I won the Player of the Year 2 years ago,
Right,
and
yeah.
this year is the first proper year I've played week in, week out. We came second, which I know isn't great for Linfield standards, but we weren't that far away. And
yeah, it's not like you finished fourth or
they,
fifth.
they were taking that as a negative and saying that the talks just didn't go the way I thought they were going to go. And right away I was like, right, I might have to look somewhere else. But to be fair, nice. So obviously in our league, whenever you're 6 months out left in your contract, other teams can reach out. And Stevie had reached out once or twice, and
Baxter,
he was
obviously.
Stephen Baxter, and he was quite keen. So whenever then, but I'd never really any intention of going there, if I'm being honest. I only ever wanted to stay at Linfield, but then after our talks didn't go great, I told Stephen, look, there's a chance I can come to here. So I went and met him once or twice, and whenever I came down to it, that was, look, as a not only as a footballer, just as a person, the most thing people want is to feel wanted.
Yeah.
And that was the main reason behind it then. When it all came down to it, it was like, Linfield don't really want me. Crusaders do. So it just made sense to go.
Yeah. And did it, like, sort of as them talks came, was it just a case where they didn't offer you a contract at all, or it was a bad contract, or?
No, there was a contract on the table, but the talks before we even talked about money, saying weren't the way I wanted it to go. It was just negative.
Good fame.
And the talks with the board, just I didn't feel like I was getting too much respect and that sort of stuff. And again, I won't be that type of person that's going to go and challenge things. And so if I was getting upset about it, then
it must have.
It was something bad, because when I went home and spoke to obviously my parents and Mary Trace and even Dawn and Paul, my brothers, they were all just like, you gotta go.
Yeah.
That was the first thing they were saying to me. So that's when then my mind was made up. I was like, you know what, they're right. And went and spoke to Steam. Steam was really accommodating, offered me a contract, and then I just signed it. It all happened really quickly. I told Linfield I wasn't signing, and then a day later went and signed for Crusaders.
As you said, makes it all worthwhile when somebody's like bent over backwards to try and get you in. You feel.
Yeah, look, see the attention and just feeling appreciated and wanted and all that sort of stuff. It does go a long way. I know obviously money and stuff can come into things, but as I say, whenever someone's really enthusiastic and torturing you to come and join and telling you how good you are and all that sort of stuff, it does. It gets you, and as saying, it was looking back now, I'm so grateful that it did do it, because it worked out so well. But at the time, it was really, really difficult.
A big jump.
Yeah, and look, I about 2 weeks I'm not sleeping and all because of it, and but now looking back, it
actually surprises me. But to be fair, because I know you a long, long time, and it actually surprised me. I wouldn't have thought that would have affected you.
No, it was tough. Saying, because you're going from the biggest club till Crusaders, who hadn't won anything back then. I think they did win an Irish Cup maybe a year or two before, but they weren't.
They weren't prolific.
They weren't winning leagues or anything like that. So, I was saying, I've only ever played for Newhill and Linfield. I'm not a person that likes changing and doing all this, that and the other. I like being comfortable, and that's it. So I was saying, the phone call they originally joined Linfield was out of character, and then that there was so scary and stuff for me too. Like, but look, eventually I got over the saying. I went and joined Crusaders, and saying again, it's a decision that it worked out so well for me.
Head off, just got the head down, and
look, that's it. Just saying, at the time, now Crews they weren't far off. So that year, me and Dermot O'Carroll joined, and from Clinville, and then we ended up winning the league that year.
Yeah,
So it was good.
I've just got the sort of the league titles in Irish Cup here. So your first year, 14, 15, 15, 16, and then 17, 18, you won the Irish League. Irish Cup was 18, 19, 21, 22, and 22, 23. I think that's accurate, is it? I'm pulling these off Wikipedia.
No, we won the league the first 2 years, and then the third year with the out away. To be fair, we were way out in front, and then we were hit bad with injuries, and with the out away, and then we won the league the year after. So we won it 3 years out of the first 4 years there. Bit disappointing actually that we didn't win more, because we were by way far the better team in that league. We were just again unlucky. It's really difficult to win doubles and trebles and that sort of stuff. I probably didn't appreciate as much back when we did it with Linfield. But I think we lost in the semi-final maybe twice in them 4 years, and but yeah, disappointing we didn't win more. But obviously, leagues are main.
It's fine margins, isn't it? As you say, you lost a couple of semi-finals, and you could have went on and sort of you got to the final, and
well, I can remember the first semi-final. Glenavon beat us. They beat us 4-8 at Windsor, but there was a bug going about, and me, Declan Goodale, and Michael Carville, all missed that game.
Right, okay.
Like, so for me to miss a game,
you were sick.
I need to be sick. Like, it's not like just having a cold and missing a game. If I'm somewhat available to play, I'm going to go and do it. So it was pretty bad, as saying the three of us didn't end up not making that match. And Cam Braniff, funny enough, another old Newhill player, scored 4 that night, and they beat us 4-3.
For Glenavon.
Yeah. And but yeah, I was disappointed, because I was saying there was a wee bug and a few of us missed out. But I think Glenavon went on one of that year too. So.
And to be fair, them 3 lads you mentioned, Carville, obviously Derek Goodale, who's another sort of. I play with Derek at my age group, but Derek always kind of, like some of you lads always stood out. But I mean, you 3 lads are probably the time among others, but you probably would have been the 3 sort of main.
Well, no, look, we're 3 big enough players for that team at the time. Sort of the 3 of us to be out. It was big, but to be fair, the boys played really well that night. But it was just written for Kevin and Glenavon to win it. You know, it is what it is. And as saying, it is really difficult to win league and Irish Cup. You seen it where even the Clinville, this great Clinville team that won the league the first year, they were beaten the final by Glentoran in the Irish Cup final.
That's right.
So look, they're not easy to win. But looking back at my time, I wish we would have won a wee double there, because it would have been
more. So it's all Kevin Braniff's fault.
Yeah, well, for one of them anyway.
Blame Kevin. And you spent obviously 10 years at the Crews, and some incredible memories. Obviously winning Irish Cups and a couple of Irish leagues, but the one that always sticks in my head is Wolves. Europa League or
Europa League. It was a qualifier.
But it was Europa League, and you got the. I mean, that must be an incredible experience to go. You're probably one of a handful of people in Northern Ireland to ever play in Premier.
I know that's the best experience I've had as a footballer. Because for them, 290 minutes, you were living your dream, your childhood dream. Going out in front of 30-odd thousand fans or whatever Molyneux holds, and playing in front of all them. Was really, really special, and something that, look, I know it's a wee bit soppy and all, but it is something that I'll remember forever. It was a dream come true, playing a Premier League team. It was great. And look, and to be fair, we were fearing the worst getting into that game.
As you would, yeah.
We're like, if we keep us below 5, we're doing well. We're doing very well. But we end up...
It was a draw, wasn't it?
No, they beat us 2-0, but they scored... Diego Jota scored like the 30th minute or something to put them 1-0 up. But then they didn't score again until the 93rd minute or something.
I think Ogres 3-1 in that game, did they?
Well, they put in a ball, and Sean made a mistake and dropped the ball, and one of their guys kicked it in 2-0. It was heartbreaking at the time, but as saying, losing 2-0 at Molyneux, that's when boys were flying too. Like they were a very, very good side.
Ruben Neves,
Ruben Neves, Giamatino,
uh,
Diego Jota, obviously.
see if I remember that game rightly, Ogres had a stormer too.
Ogres was brilliant.
He was
Yeah, look, obviously he was going to be busy, but he made 3, 4, 5 top saves.
Stormer, I remember.
And then right at the death, look, it happens. No big deal. They end up scoring, but look, 2-0, we were buzzing to get out there for 2-0.
Definitely.
And
like, what's that atmosphere like, Billy? Obviously, you play in the Irish League and you play in front of sort of crowds every week, 1,000, maybe on a big derby, 2,000-3,000. But I mean, going out into Molyneux, obviously we only see stadiums live on TV or like if you're sitting in the stands, like. But how does that feel when you're actually on the pitch looking out the way? I mean, is it intimidating? Or do you blank it out? Do you blank that out when you're playing?
You just absorb it all and take it all in. As saying walking out, the biggest thing I actually remember is walking out and had them big flamethrower things that put in the say. We were walking out and one of them went off and it roasted the facey. And then you could hear their fans singing their wee song in the background. The Wolverhampton. That's their song anyway. And you just heard that 30,000 people singing it. It was brilliant. Like.
And you were captain that game too?
No, Sean O'Neill was.
Oh, was he?
Ogres was captain. He led us out and saying it was a great experience on the pitch. Walking out, you absorb it all and take it all in, but then once the whistle blows, you're focused on the game and that's it. Like.
Yeah, and then I suppose, silly sort of point to bring up, but I can just imagine that the whole facilities of changing and coming off the bus and getting in.
It was, again, a wee bit surreal driving down the place. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to their stadium, but it's in the middle of their estate as well, so you're driving down, there's just crowds standing outside it, and we're getting out and they're booing us and all, and you're like, we're part-time footballers, you know, you're going to thank us here, like. And they were getting on like as if the proper haters and all, but it was all just taking it all in, the atmosphere. And you get into the changing room, but the changing room was terrible to be.
And then obviously, as I was saying there, Billy, coming off the back of, you know, the euphoria and the high and getting back to work and getting back to sort of Seaview and having the train, it's, I suppose, like anything in life, all good things have to come to an end. And before we touch on obviously leaving Crusaders, you had a very special testimonial. Obviously 10 years at the club, and certainly my hero growing up as a Man U fan, and I don't know who your one was, but Ryan Giggs and Salford come over and done the testimonial. And I mean, what was that like? I was actually there that day, and you were sitting doing a Q&A with Giggs, and Sean Ward was the comp. That day was outstanding, actually, Sean. But like, it was like surreal.
No, look, see, looking back, you're so fortunate. Some experiences you've had obviously help where people around you were able to get Salford and Ryan Giggs come over and did a wee Q&A before it and stuff. So, you know, just sharing a stage with him, listening to his stories and that sort of stuff was a great experience. Saying you could just sit and listen to them boys all day because they're talking about games that we were watching on TV, and saying I'm sitting on the stage and he's sitting there and Sean's asking all the questions, but like you just can't take your eyes off him. And just listening to him was great. There was some experience. The game itself, I actually didn't play in because it wasn't long after my ACL operation on my knee. But the boys give a good enough account of ourselves. I think the game went well enough. There was a good crowd at it. Again, really appreciative. You know, if you have 1,000 people to come in the middle of July to come basically to support me. So, you know, I was really thankful for all that too, and it was a good day overall.
Yeah, no, and Salford, to be fair to them, brought a few with them as well. I don't know how many exactly, but I mean, it actually surprised me.
Yeah, no, we went into the bar afterwards and I got chatting to one or two of them, and they were like, it's so much easier for Emmons to get a flight or a boat over to here, play us, and they could all just drink and have a good bit of crack. We were saying to do that, they're going on so many hours, bus journeys in England and stuff. So they're saying it was a lot more easier and smoother to come over here than it was for most of their away games.
45 minutes on a flight,
and that was it.
Here, and then you're only a stone's throw away from.
No, so they had a great time, which was good as well.
I know they were good. They they were singing the old sort of dirty old town version, which
originally came from there, which I didn't know about.
So a lot of people would have thought that it was. Most people you ask think it's about Dublin and then about Belfast, but it was actually about obviously Salford. I can't remember the backstory to it, but I think I could be wrong, so somebody will correct me on this, I'm sure. But I think it was that year the Pogues wrote it. I think the Pogues wrote it. I was one of them. That Salford was voted the dirtiest town.
Right, and that's where it came about.
I think it was something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure, but
I can remember their fans telling us all about
it. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that one.
No, it was a good day, and saying they enjoyed themselves. Everyone had a lot of support from like you and all my mates and family and all there. All had a great day. I think we went back to ODs that night, didn't we?
And the next day wasn't.
It was an eventful night too. Like so, no, it was a great day, great experience, and loved it all.
Brilliant. And then obviously, the touch on, club captain, come back from injury, and it seemed from the outside sort of world that sort of your Cruise career just came to sort of a screeching halt, really. I personally didn't think you would have, at that stage of your career, I didn't think you would have left Cruise, but obviously, there was conversations there that maybe didn't go as planned, if that's the right phrase. I mean, what happened there? Like, why did that happen around Cruise?
Saying I got my knee, it was like April, whatever, 2 years ago, whatever it was. That's when I did the knee. And then I got my operation in July. So then I missed a full year basically of football, and that was the year my contract was running out. So but at the end of the year I did my injury was the year Stephen had said he was leaving.
Right,
so it was similar to when Davey was leaving Linfield, Stevie was leaving Cruise, but it's still a year left on my contract, but it was a year that it wasn't going to kick a ball.
Yeah.
So it didn't play for a full year when Declan came in. But then I'm starting my rehab and all that sort of stuff. I'm training, and look, I was offered a contract when it was a long year where a lot of stuff didn't go according to plan. But I was offered a deal when it went up. It wasn't what I wanted. I don't even think it was really what they wanted. I think they were doing it out of just being nice. Now, Declan, to be fair, wanted me to stay. Declan, I've spoke with him a few times, but all the stuff that happened throughout the year was just, I think it was just time for me to go too. And to be fair, Declan needed a few of our experienced boys to go too, for him to then take control of the changing room. Because obviously we played with Declan for 10 years. Massive job for him. So coming in and then trying to talk to us as players when he's the manager, it's just different. So it was probably better for him that a few of us left where he was in full control. Not that we were being bad or anything like that. But
I always wondered how that would have worked. Obviously, knew Daggy from sort of kids growing up from Newhill, and then obviously you were teammates with him at the Cruise, and then all of a sudden he becomes the gaffer, and you're kind of like that sort of player to player friendship. It has to change. That relationship has to change, and I often wonder how the likes of Daggy would have sort of like made that change, if that makes sense.
I'm sure it was tough for him. I didn't actually experience it all myself because I was out the full year.
Right enough, yeah.
So I wasn't in the changing room every week and training and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't really see it firsthand, but I'm sure it was difficult for him, especially in, so that's when it came to negotiating contracts. Declan didn't get involved in financial side of things. He just thought it was too awkward. Didn't want to be,
as it would be, like,
all that sort of stuff. So he kind of took a sidestep on that. And then you're talking to the board in regards to all that sort of stuff, which isn't ideal either, because board members are board members at the end of the day. Your manager's the football person, and that's
they worry about the balance sheet,
who you talk to. So yeah, again, look, it is what it is. I was there 11 years, 11 great years. I love Crusaders. They'll always be my club now, and but it just felt like that was the time, because they didn't want to risk. Look, I could understand it from their side too. I was out a full year, I was 35, so coming back from it would be tough. I'm not going to be the same player I was before it, So they're weighing all that up too,
Mhm.
and they have a decision to make. And as I say, it is what it is.
And it all sort of boils down to sort of the money and the investment. But I think as sort of adults and men, I think when the time's up, I think yourself that when it's time for a change, whether it be a job or football or anything in life, you just kind of know the time's up here. It's ready for a change, and sometimes
Look, it
change is
is.
good.
There's it can be a million different reasons why you make the decisions. Again, similar to the way I left Linfield, it's about feeling wanted and appreciated and all that sort of stuff. And the exact same, it was the same man on the phone to me again. Steve was ringing me once he heard that there was a chance I wasn't going to be re-signing for Crusaders. He was straight on the phone to me again saying, come down and play for me at Carrick. And again, talking to him, feeling wanted, feeling appreciated, being with him for the last 10, 11 years, it just made sense as well.
It was an obvious fit, wasn't it? Really? Like, I mean, you owe back there somehow.
Well, he owes me. I think so. I went and won him that many league titles and everything else.
He's got your fortune.
So he owes me more than anything. But no, look, as I say, it just made sense. I know exactly how he manages. He knows me, and it just works.
We actually seen him at your presentation, not your presentation,
dinner,
your testimonial dinner, and obviously you see him on TV and doing interviews. I actually didn't realise how tall he was. He must be 6'4", 6'5". Like
well, he's an inch or two bigger than me, I'd say. But look, sure, Stephen was a centre forward in Irish League for years, and
he was a big lump. You just don't appreciate it.
He's a good goal scorer back in his day. Well, so he tells us, like, so. He played for Crews and Linfield and everyone else, but. No, Stephen was a player in his day.
I can remember, obviously, him and David Jeffrey done your, they were sort of having a few words about you. And Jesus, the worst thing we ever done was give David Jeffrey a mic.
No,
I'm going to do some talking, I'm telling you.
It's coming from you, it's saying something like, but Davey loves the microphone, loves the audience, works an audience so well, and everything he does. He knows how to control a room. He's a great speaker.
He's very good at it.
And that's one of the things you love about Davey, because
he's a showman, isn't he?
Yeah, and you can get suckered in bed all too. Like he's brilliant.
He didn't buy too much drink, to be fair. Didn't see him at the bar too often.
He doesn't have to. I don't think anywhere he goes, because everyone loves him.
He's a celebrity. Hopefully we'll get that stage one day. Hopefully. And then obviously, yes. So you moved to Carrick Rangers. I mean, in terms of, like, does that affect you? I don't mean affect you, but a bit like, obviously, you mentioned earlier when you left sort of Linfield, you were going to Crews. I know it was a different stage of your life and different stage of your career, but like, did it affect you? Like, were you kind of apprehensive, thinking, I've made the right move here, or?
No, to be fair, leaving Linfield was a much harder decision. I felt like when it was time for leaving Crews, it was kind of just that time, so it was probably right. But as saying, going to Carrick, big Adam Leckie, who was with, he did his ACL same time as me, so we did all our rehab together, and he was going to Carrick, so obviously Stephen already being there, Paul Heatley was there from the year before, so I knew it was going to be a much easier transition than it was leaving Linfield to go to the Crusaders. You're more
experienced as a player, and
exactly, you're a wee bit more mature, and you can take things on more, and at the end of the day, then you know at that stage it's football, it's part of like it. When you're young, early 20s, you may take things a lot more personal and everything else, where
you realise
the older you get, it is what it is. You just get on with it and you go again.
It's always like, it always, I think, boils down, because like I know sort of, we're not going into too much detail, but I know sort of how the Crews kind of sort of ended, and I would be fairly certain if that was a 25-year-old Billy Joe Burns coming back from an ACL operation, that it give you what you wanted.
Yeah.
And I think and they're kind of looking at, as you said, as a business, and thinking, is he going to be the same player that we really want to be investing this money in him? And the mad thing is too, you never get injured.
I was the thing, like, for 10, 11 years there, I never had an injury really. And then the one injury I got, it was obviously a very serious injury. So that's why, again, I don't feel too down about that injury either, because it was probably due one. The laws of averages, boys go through their whole career playing bit parts because of their injuries, where I got a good run at it there for 10 years, so I can't complain about getting injured. But yeah, it is what it is. You just get on with it.
You've recovered well. I've seen on social media, and obviously through texting and stuff, you've picked up a couple of man of the match awards and at Carrick, so you're Normal service resumed.
It was tough. That was a tough year, mentally and physically and everything else. Because saying when you're younger and you get that sort of injury, you're more eager and you're training hard and you're ready for all this sort of stuff. But at that stage, I was just like, right, I'll just rob it now. But then you get to Christmas, I was like, right, I'll start training, rehabbing, and then you do more running and you start getting the kick of the ball again, and then it's just
get the bug back.
Yeah, to get back out there. So now I won't be the hardest trainer in the world.
No.
Never really set foot in the gym and whatever else. But saying once I got to that Christmas, I was like, right, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to try and do it right here to make sure I'm coming back. So I went and I got Bam Neeson. He does PT and out of Flex Fitness. So I went and seen him 2-3 times a week. From Christmas till about March, April time, and then that's when I started getting back and kicking the ball.
You can notice anything like you've filled out because you were always like you were always naturally fit. You were always slim.
I was always skinny, to be fair, but then
you filled out like you. Can, I've never seen you with shoulders before.
My shoulders I feel like they're massive, even though they're not massive in comparison to everybody else. But on my body, they feel massive. But as I said, I've been training hard and sticking to it for saying from Christmas, and obviously you have to cut it down now to go. I'm still seeing Bam maybe once a week because I'm still doing more running and back playing now. But for a good 3-4 months, I was training hard, and to be fair, I owe a lot to him to get me back as well.
No, Bam's a good lad. Bam knows he certainly knows his stuff. But and as you had said there, like coming back, you were always sort of, I suppose you work very hard at it, but you're always sort of naturally athletic.
Yeah.
But I suppose it doesn't really matter how naturally athletic you are. You can't do what you could do 10, 11 years previous.
No, look, that's it. Age catches up to everybody. And I got through most of my career not having to really push myself because it was just natural. I could run and that was it, naturally do it all. But then the older you get, coming back from that injury, I had to proper get my head down and train hard, which is what I did, to be fair. And look, you're still sore and achy now. It's tough, but
well, as I say, you got a couple of man and match awards there, so it's obviously the hard work's paying off, and you'll obviously do well at Carrick Rangers, and I think you had a good win there. Sort of, I think it was last Friday.
Friday night there, we beat Bangor down there 1-0. It was a bit strange. Whenever I come back, it just feels like you're losing every week, and then you start questioning yourself: is it me? Should I be playing? All that sort of stuff. But we went through a bad wee run, but we got a good win there on Friday night, beating Bangor 1-0, and hopefully we can kick on a little bit.
Just talk to me on that, Billy, just before we wrap up. Just talk to me about that sort of like the mental side of it and the resilience side of it. Like you had mentioned there, where like even after everything you've won, all the achievements you've had, a sort of career, 14, 15 years in the Irish League, and even now you're doubting yourself. Like, because like we have some of our kids at sort of the club, and if you take them off, for example, and they're sort of, I think they're not good enough and whatever. Like, how do you, like, if any of our young lads are listening to this, or even our young girls listening to this, like what would be your message to them from a sort of like a resilience and?
It's strange now because look, kids are completely different now from what they were when we were young. As I say, and I came in and didn't want to get unnoticed. I just kept myself to myself, trained, played when I was asked. If I wasn't picked or if I wasn't selected, I sat there, did nothing until I got my chance again. We're kids nowadays. I've seen it a lot, especially at the cruise, young lads coming through, and if they get benched, they don't play for a week or two. The first thing they do is, right, I'm away. There's just no patience for them. They needed. I think kids nowadays have to be more patient, accept criticism.
Yeah,
because unfortunately it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Everyone telling you how great you are. You have to be able to accept that and learn from it and try and improve and all that sort of stuff. But as I say, I think patience is a big thing for kids nowadays. They don't have it, and saying the first sign of trouble is they just want to leave.
And I think probably, going back to it, we touched on it earlier in the sort of podcast, where social media, and I think that's almost a negative effect, because these kids see these sort of influencers, and like I hate influencers personally.
Yeah.
They do my head in,
Are
honestly.
you not one?
Yeah, I wish I was getting paid the money for it. But I hate influencers. They annoy me so much. They put out this sort of life of glamour, and like life's not like that. Life's
Yeah.
hard, and any walk of life, and these young kids, sort of 15, 16, 17, and they think it's all glamour. And like I heard a saying years ago. I was actually giving Jack Breslin, who you would know, a hand at Cliftonville, and I remember a guy said, he was talking about a specific player, and he said he's trying to cash checks he can't write. And it always stuck with me, and I always thought, you know what, that's so prominent. And I think some of the kids, but I think part of the problem is with that, like, as I say, when I was giving Jack Breslin a hand at Cliftonville, there was a guy there, and we were talking about, I can't even remember the player we were talking about, and he had sort of used the analogy that he's trying to cash checks he can't write. And I always remember that. And you see some lads nowadays where they're good and they've got potential, but they're nowhere near the level they think they are.
Yeah.
And I think their parents sometimes.
I think parents has a lot to say in this, because just me personally, when I was growing up, my dad was working most Saturdays, so rarely came to the games, didn't get involved in too much of it, and even in the ones he did, he wouldn't come over and tell me how good it was or how bad it was. He would have just wouldn't say much, and then that was it.
Your daddy wouldn't be like that, probably.
No, and to be fair, it's worked out better for me, because saying a lot of kids, they've no chance from the way their parents get on, and the last thing they need is someone telling them how great they are, and they'll do this and they'll do that, and putting so much added pressure on them when there's just no need for it. Because as you're saying, it's a scary world at the minute. I don't think I would survive being a kid now, where social media and all that sort of stuff. So having that added pressure on from parents is just crazy for me.
It doesn't.
I have obviously 2 young kids myself, and Keenan, the wee lad, is 6. He's starting to go to his Gaelic and do more and more in sports too, but whether he became a professional athlete or didn't, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
Just as long as he's happy.
Just want him to enjoy himself, and that's the main thing. Like,
I think I definitely think. I mean, there's and sometimes you would even see it at Newhill. Like we had kids there, and parents were taking them, and they were taking them to like Larne or taking them to cruise, and like you would never say to the parent of the kid, but they weren't good enough.
I was saying earlier, kids develop at different ages and everything else. So see, for me, where my kid, see wherever he's happiest, that's where he'll be playing until once he's maybe 15, 16, 17, and then you can make your choice, right? He's good enough to go to such and such level, or he's not good enough, just keep him with his friends. Because like, you see kids now and they're getting 1-to-1 training when they're 7 and 8, and you're like, what are these people at? Let the kid be a kid and enjoy himself.
In the park with a ball.
Like, that's the saying, from we were no age, you had a ball at your feet 24 hours a day, and you weren't taught all these drills and all that stuff. You learned by playing football in the street, and that was
like
it.
Like Wayne Rooney style, like we always, that's what they refer to Wayne Rooney, sort of like a street footballer.
But you're seeing less and less of that now, because the only time kids play football now is when it's organised.
Yeah.
When it's training or whatever else. You don't see kids really playing football now for fun, which is quite sad. But that's why we have a generation of these technical footballers that are really good technically, but when it comes to the game, they're...
And then nitty-gritty. I mean, even like, I'm deviating ever so slightly, but I can always remember like Christmas morning when we were kids, and you would have come out on your bike or your scooter or whatever you got, and like you were out on the street from 5:30, 6 in the morning. And now, like, you look out at maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock on Christmas morning, there's not a kid.
Yeah, no,
because they don't get toys no more. They get PlayStations or phones or whatever. Like, it's just a completely different generation. So just to finish up, Willie, obviously I don't like to mention this bad word to you, but retirement. It's obviously, hopefully it's not for a good few years yet, but it's going to come eventually. Have you any plans for have you thought about retirement, or have you any plans afterwards?
I was going to retire when I got the injury, to be fair, but then I didn't want my career to finish that way, basically, so that's why I decided, right, I'm going to give this one last go, blah, blah, blah. But no, the contract the same where Carrick was a 2-year, but the second year's an option year.
Okay.
So I'm going to obviously play this year, see how I've played, because look, I'll be the first person to know
when you're done.
When I'm proper done. I can get away with it a bit now, like, but whenever, if I'm playing and I'm just not good enough at the end of this year, I'll just be like, that's me done. If I'm doing all right, I'll speak to the manager, see how we're getting on, but I know it's going to happen in the next year or two anyway. Like, and look, I've accepted that too. I'm not one to, you know, I'm not going to drag it on. I'm not going to be doing anything else. Look, I'll know and I'll just stop it and that's it.
As you say, you don't need anyone to tell you when you've lost that half a yard or when you just can't get up and down. As you said earlier, like a lot of your game, obviously you were technically very good, but a lot of your game was to do with athleticism and energy and running. And when you can't do that anymore, you know.
But look, I was never the greatest footballer in the world, but I could run. Yeah. And so once the last few years when the running's not as good as it used to be, then the football can get a wee bit exploited a wee bit more. So that's why I know when I can't run no more, then
you know yourself, your body just can't think. I never played anywhere near the level of you. I was never very good really. But even now we would play for Newhill 35s and probably only playing 15 minutes, 55 minutes, and Jesus, see trying to go to bed on a Monday morning.
Look, that's the main reason why I will retire. Yeah. Like if I play a game this Saturday, I can't walk till Wednesday, Thursday again.
Your body just gives up on you.
And even when you're in the house and the kids are jumping all over you and you can barely walk up and down stairs, it's wild. Every morning I wake up and I'll put the toe out and I'll be like, right, which part of my body's going to be sore today? Once you stand up and you're like, right, it's my calves today, or it's my hamstring, my back, or whatever. There's just always something, and it's getting to that point where you're like, it's not worth it anymore.
The recovery is a killer. Like, but look, just to finish up, Billy, I've got 5 quick fire questions. So
yes,
just we'll quickly get through these. We'll try and keep it to one word answers if we can, but you can use a couple if it needs to be.
Right.
So I'm going to fire them to you. Best player you've played with?
Gavin White or Spike Ferguson, probably.
Right, okay. That surprised me, actually.
I'm trying to think who else off the top of my head.
I surprised me. I thought you would have went with somebody like Mulgrew or...
well, Gavin White then went on and played in England.
Supposed to be fair.
He's flying still now at Derry. No, Gavin was different level, and then Spike was just unbelievable.
Best player you've played against? Probably an obvious one.
Well, that Wolves game, you could pick any one of those 11 players that played that day. Obviously Jota was playing that day. He was brilliant. Raul Jimenez was brilliant. Ruben Neves, John Moutinho. You take a pick from any of us.
Like just like when you're playing against them lads, like, and you boys were fit, but like, are they just so sharp? Different level. So sharp, yeah.
So sharp. First touch, vision, they're just different level. There's levels to football, as we all know, and same we're way below those guys. Like we think we're all right and we can play football, but like just everything that is just brilliant.
Just streets ahead. And who? I'll re-ask that question again. Who's the best player you've played against in the Irish League?
Irish League, probably Paul Heatley. I'm lucky enough then that I got the playroom for 12 years now, 13 years. But whenever he played for Carrick and Cruz, whenever I was at Linfield, he used to give me a hard time. Like,
I can imagine.
He
always used like a wee pit bull, wasn't he? Wasn't that big?
He's low centre of gravity, so fast and strong and nasty and all too. He was a nightmare to mark, to be fair. Like.
Worst football moment?
I don't know. Let's say I've been quite fortunate. There hasn't. You take the highs with the lows. Getting sent off in the semi-final or the league game a couple of years ago was quite tough. We were playing Larne for maybe two league games left, and I threw the ball back. Complete accident.
I remember.
Genuinely a complete accident.
I remember that.
Phil Laurie gave away a foul, and we didn't think it was a foul, and I lifted it and just was throwing it back in that area, and it hit one of their players in the head, and the ref came over and said, and give me a red card, sent me off, straight red. There was 2 league games left, and then the Irish Cup final. So that's your 3-game suspension. So I missed the Irish Cup final. That was really tough, to be fair.
Surely, like in them, surely a referee has to have.
We went and appealed it. We watched back through video evidence, clearly showing that there was no intent in it.
No,
the referee wasn't even looking at me, but from what I was told, all their reports and stuff, that the referees and fourths and all those guys all agreed that it was done were intent and failing conduct and all that sort of stuff. When we look back through the video, you can clearly see that they weren't even looking at me. So how can they tell how I threw the ball?
And surely retrospectively, when they look at the video, they can see that it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, so that was the thing. And then I can remember a couple of ex-players and Old Bailey and stuff coming out, and so many people texting me and all saying, like, you'll be fine, common sense here, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't overturn it. They stuck the gear, didn't get it overturned. And no, it's funny, I can always remember. So I missed that final. I was genuinely brokenhearted over it. And then the next year, it was like 2 or 3 games in, we were playing somebody, and I think it was Coleraine, and one of their boys grabbed the ball and threw it at our player and hit him right in the chest. And the referee went over and spoke to him. And I was like, I got sent off for that last year. And he started laughing, saying, I know, but your decision was wrong back in. And I was like, well, why are you coming out and saying that now?
You see, I always find it mad, like, when you have like a bad referee in the season. And fair enough, look, they obviously don't have the luxury of like VAR and stuff like that. But surely when you watch it back, and like Irish Cups are hard to get to. You know, not everybody plays in an Irish Cup final, and you were obviously very lucky to win. I think there's 5, 6.
That would have been the 6th. But
that you won, and like to do that, like, surely you gotta say, look, listen, we got that wrong.
But I think referees like to stick the gear and don't like to admit when they're wrong. And look, it is what it is. They're saying the same what they've seen. We disagreed, but it is what it is.
Even in your nature, like, most people that know you sort of off the pitch would know, like, that you're very soft, sort of placid nature. Like, if I had been ribs or something, I'd say,
now, to be fair, like, when you cross the pitch, my personality can't change.
Well, I've said that quite a few times about that.
Look, you cross the white lane and you all of a sudden become a wee bit angrier and more moany and everything else, but I would still never just throw a ball at someone's head. So that did hurt me. And I was saying the referees were never going to change their mind because they don't like admitting when they're wrong or whatever else. So I think it went to like a group committee meeting or something, and there was 4 people on the panel, and 3 voted to not overturn it, and 1 did. And then that was it.
Just majority.
Yeah.
Right, we'll finish off our last question. Best life moment to date. Now, your wife will be watching this, no doubt, so be very careful.
I have to say wedding and birth from the 2 kids. So are we talking football?
No, just life, your best life moment. So the best thing that's happened to you in your life to date. The obvious ones.
That's the obvious ones. Wedding day. And the birth of the 2 kids. It's really, really special. Look, football has its moments, but those are things that are really important.
Really matter.
Yeah. And it's different kind of highs, to be fair. The football highs are great and they're enjoyable, but, you know, your kids and all that stuff.
Your kids and your wife is...
I have to say it, don't I?
And I always take, just to finish off, I take a bit of credit for the wedding. I was...
you set us up?
I set us up, all them years ago, back in the
Drunken night in the Fells.
Drunken night in the Fells, but many of them, didn't I?
I won the ballot that night. I won it. Bradshaw got me sorted.
You won it every week.
I know. Case of beer walking down the Falls Road.
Oh, God.
It's memories, isn't it?
Best days of our life. I always look back at them so fondly and just think they were, like, the final days and Beach Club days were incredible, like, but yeah, it's brilliant. Well, listen, Stolly, podcast has came to an end. Thank you very much for obviously being here today and being so honest about the highs and lows of football and careers, and really appreciate it. Thank you. And
thanks for having me.
Best of luck with the rest of your career, and hopefully retirement's not for another few years.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.
So we have just finished filming our first episode of our new podcast. Big thank you to Billy Joe Burns, who was a fantastic guest. You can watch our podcast on all our social media channels as well as Spotify. We will have an episode coming out every 2 weeks, and stay tuned for our next guest. Thank you.